Hello, humans! It's Rob here with Not a Robot Podcast, DC Comics Review Show number 111, the world's greatest comic show about the world's greatest superheroes. And with me, as always, is Josh
Howdy, howdy, howdy.
and Brandon.
Hey everyone.
So I'll be taking over your hostly duties for today. I hope that's okay with y'all. As our fearless co host with me here, I've had a bit of a tiring week, to say the
Tiring
least.
day. Tiring day,
Tiring
really.
day, yeah. There's been a lot going on
Tiring
in the
2
world of
days.
Josh and Brandon.
Yeah.
So before we get into all of the fun stuff, if you ever want to get in touch with us, you can. Be sure to send an email to comics@notarobotpodcast.com, and you can get us on Twitter too, @notarobotcomics. And if you feel like supporting us, you can just visit buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast for very little a month. And we also have our very own Discord server, and all of us here at Not a Robot are online and ready to talk. And with some support, you can find your way into the server to talk all things geek with us and other fans. So, before we get into all our news, let's take a look at the books we're talking about today. We'll be looking at New Champion of Shazam number 2, Poison Ivy number 4, Sword of Azrael number 2, Nubia Queen of the Amazons number 4, Batman number 127, Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths officially number 4, and Flashpoint Beyond number 5. But first, let's get into some news. What's going on, guys?
As you mentioned, yes, it's been a very, very tiring 48 hours for your old Uncle Brandon. Uh, for those unaware, but I'm sure you're not because I've been talking about it excessively, I ventured into the dangerous city called New York last night for a very exciting afternoon with the one and only master of the Scottish Brogue, Grant Morrison. Me and about 50 other denizens of the city made our way to the Barnes and Noble in Union Square, where we sat and listened to them talk for about an hour and change. Illuminating experience. I was hanging on every single word, and it was truly something else to see them live and in the flesh. And I'm pleased to say that they are just as entertaining and hypnotic and wonderful as you may have imagined. I took notes, copious notes, on the whole experience, which I was hoping to share with my co-hosts, but I don't think they want to hear it. Not counting that, it was just a really exciting experience. So that's what's going on with me. That's why I'm so very tired.
I can tell you without beyond a shadow of a doubt, and we don't have to do it here on the podcast, but I literally want to hear every word you wrote down.
Is that so?
I mean, if man, I mean, I'm a huge fan of, I guess I would say, nearly everything he's done. With a few exceptions, there's so many examples of how fantastic of a comic book writer he is. And I think
Yeah,
I think the reason
I do kind of have to correct you, and I think this is particularly topical just because of the book that they just put out. But Grant has sort of transitioned to using non-binary pronouns, so
oh shoot,
primarily,
I
if you're
knew
going
that
to
too.
refer to them, just use they them pronouns.
Yeah.
I still slip up all the time, totally
I mean,
understandable, but part of the
I've got a
process is learning a bunch of
transitioning
correct
child
words.
and I slip up.
Yeah,
So, I mean,
yeah,
obviously I do.
yeah.
Uh, but Grant is just, it's been decades of a major, someone who is such a comic book fan. You could, okay, boiling it down is you can just tell how much he loves these characters each and every time he writes. Whether or not you enjoy the story that they are telling, um, Grant is at the bottom of their heart absolutely comics number one fan, or at least pretty close to that.
Well, I think you'll be
And
very pleased with one of the notes that I put down. It was a response to someone's question about the appreciation of these characters and the idea of meta text. But like you said, maybe we'll save that for after. the show. But I do want to leave the audience with this one salient point, one that deeply unnerved me. Not because it was bad, but it's like when someone says something and it just kind of disrupts your soul because it hits so true. It was a quote that I sent last night as a quote from Grant as they were promoting their new book, which is called Luda, which just came out yesterday, about magic and drag queens, a match made in heaven if ever I saw one. And the quote was as simple as, "We are all drag," the explanation of which is that all of us in some way, given that drag is all about presentation and putting one aspect of your personality on the outside, is sort of something that each and every one of us do every single day of our lives, whether it be in a different scenario with friends or family or in school or at work or whatever. We're all in some way performing a version of drag as we allow a version of our persona, of our personality, to come to the surface and interact with the other people. And when they said that, it was like, oh, what the fuck? It hit my soul. And it was like I had been smiling for the first 20 minutes, and then after that it was like my face kind of dropped and it just became a circle because I couldn't smile anymore because it didn't make me uncomfortable. It's like when someone says something that just rings so true, it just kind of leaves you in that really like uncomfortable feeling, like damn, they really got me, because it was so true. And I feel like that every single day where I there are different aspects of my personality that I'm putting forth for the rest of the world to see, but each one is unique from the other one. None is more important than the other, but each one is a different aspect of my own personality. And I think everyone feels that way in a certain respect. So I hope that unsettles you as much as it did me. It was incredibly profound, but also incredibly unnerving in how true it was. But as I said, wonderful experience. So I don't have any news this week aside from that, but I figured it was Titanic enough to share with you guys.
Oh, absolutely, it is.
Yeah.
What did you say the name of their book is?
It's called Luda. It's spelled Luda. It has a very striking yellow cover featuring the main character of the book called Lucy LeBang, who's a drag queen, who's again the protagonist of the story. If I'm repeating, folks, it's because I'm really tired, so I apologize in advance. But that's Luda. The book jacket cover was done by an artist I'd never heard of named Chad Sell, and I was very excited to learn an Easter egg that is a gift from them to me and now unto you, my friends, that if you look at some of the symbols on that cover, or if you pull it up on Google or whatever, those symbols are actually a sigil, and the sigil spells, and I don't remember exactly what it was because they said it so fast I didn't get to write it down, but I believe it's something to the effect of, buy the book, it will change your life. Which is genius. Awesome. Just so genius. So I believe the sigils, which are around the character's eyelashes, say something to that effect. I haven't read it yet, so I don't know. I was just so tired I couldn't even start. But I'm hoping to dig into it this weekend.
Right on. Yeah, I'm definitely looking for it. I didn't find it on Comic Find. Is it a novel or is it?
It's a novel. Yeah, it's not a comic. It's their first novel. Not counting Super Gods, given that was sort of an autobiographical historical account.
Yeah, a little bit different there.
Yeah, this is just a straight up novel with fictional characters and everything. And I can give you all the intimate details once we're off the air.
Oh nope, it's already up on Google.
Yeah.
The intimate details of the convention, absolutely.
Of the talk, yes.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess I don't really have a whole lot of news. Just a couple real brief things that I wanted to mention. And two of them are from advertisements that I saw this week in books. The first one is Batman vs. Robin. It has the tagline, "A Wayne will rise and a Wayne will fall."
Oh, God.
And I see Alfred on that page. If they bring Alfred back, I will be upset. Erasing something so pitiful for so many... pivotal for so many characters is just a bad idea.
Is that
I
a
see
Freudian slip
Zatanna.
there?
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe it'd be pitiful if they brought him back. I see Zatanna on there, and she is drawn bigger than anybody else on the page. Livewire and Talia is there as well. I really hope I don't hate this. But
It's Flatline,
oh,
not Livewire.
or yeah, Flatline. Thank you. um, I don't know if it was Mahmoud Asrar that drew this ad, but if it is, the whole book is just going to be gorgeous.
It is.
Mahmoud Asrar is the artist on the book, or he did the advertisement as well.
Yes.
Oh wow, okay, that's sick. At least, no matter what happens, at least the art is going to be gorgeous. Also, DC Horror presents Sarjic Rock versus the Army of the Dead is coming out. I mean, holy shit! I'm going to say I don't think Eduardo Risso has ever been better, and that's saying a lot. Major talent there, and amazing colors too, though I don't know who gets to take the credit for that one. And then finally, at Heroes Comic Con in Brussels Expo, at the Brussels Expo in Belgium, something really weird happened. CB Cebulski and Mary Javins, I think is how you say the last name.
Marie Javins.
Marie Javins, the editors-in-chief at Marvel and DC, respectively, headed a panel together. I wouldn't read too much into it, but I do think it's worth noting. I think that's... Granted, they are friendly, I wouldn't say co-workers, but they are friendly industry people, and they have crossed paths before, but the fact that the editors-in-chief were sharing the stage at the same time just kind of made me go, huh? But anyway, that's all I've got for the news. Rob, did you get anything?
Have they not been friendly in the past? I'm kind of confused by that.
Oh, they've been friendly in the past, but the fact that DC's editor-in-chief is on the stage at the same time as Marvel's kind of just...
Oh, shoot.
It really surprised me.
Oh, wow. I completely forgot. Okay. Sorry.
Sad.
Yeah. I got confused who Marie Javins was. Okay, shoot. Yeah, that is interesting.
And just like I've said, I probably wouldn't read too much into it. I really don't think we're getting the fulfillment of Doomsday Clock anytime soon.
2025. It's coming.
Yeah, we'll see.
Jeff Johns to it.
We will see.
If anybody can do it, it's James Gunn at this point. But yeah, we'll see. Yeah. No, I honestly.
Did we lose Rob?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
We're gonna try that again. Rob dropped out for a second, but
Okay.
everything's gonna be just fine.
What was the last thing you heard?
I want to say you were saying something about a movie.
Oh, probably I was binging the Orville the past week.
Past
couple of weeks. It's a hell
Isn't
of a
it?
damn show.
Oh,
I
isn't
hope
it
they get
though?
a season 4. My God, it's fantastic.
It really is.
If you haven't checked it out, definitely check it out. But that's not comic news. I honestly have nothing else. It's not much been going on. I haven't seen anything noteworthy. But I did want to mention before we get into the honorable mentions, because it is a book about or from the honorable mentions. I just wanted to bring up the end of it. Batman Beyond Neo Year number 6 promises more Batman Beyond coming in 2023, which for me is
sweet.
Great. I'm happy about that. I'm no stranger to saying that I love Batman Beyond. So more coming. I'm happy for it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So I guess we'll use that to swing over to the honorable mentions and pick up where Rob left off. Neo Year number 6. Normally, the end of a series would be featured in our spotlight, but there are two things here. One, it will be returning in 2023, like Rob said. And I'm not sure for the break why. Story, timing, creative teams, whatever that is, it remains to be seen. But the second thing is, man, y'all got to read this. This is such a great Batman Beyond story. It's unlike Jurgen's run in a whole bunch of different ways, and I do love it. No offense, Dan. This really kicks ass. Second, also in the honorable mentions, is Dark Knights of Steel, Tales from the Three Kingdoms. Do not make assumptions from this cover. It is not for your 4-year-old. It's not a kid's version. It is a set of 3 stories, all prequel stories, but enjoyable ones, each with great art and really good creative teams. I enjoyed all 3. We got Multiversity Teen Justice number 4. I guess Kilowog in a blonde wig wasn't working for anyone because now he's in a brown one. Or now she's in a brown one. Now they're in a brown one. Now Kilowog is in a brown one. That's a... Other than that, Raven is broody. The story is continuing at a pretty slow pace. And there's a panel where evil Kyle Rayner makes a comment about how the last person who threatened him ended up in a freezer.
Yeah, I cringed at that.
I did too. I'm glad I'm not the only one. Black Adam's Justice Society Files, Atom Smasher number 1. Still tiny looks into the JSA members and the new history of Black Adam. As long as you don't care that it exists just because of the movie, you should be okay. It's a fun one, nice to look at, and the stories are not bad. And finally, for the honorable mentions is, last but not least, I should say, Dear Detective number 1. It is the incomparable art of Lee Bermejo, accompanied by a long letter placed throughout the pages, a riddle, taunting, poking fun at Batman, using some symbols to replace letters like cryptography, and the signature at the end is one that you would have to go back and reread what you've read in order to code the name at the bottom. Given the nature of the letter, it's kind of hard to nail down who is writing it as you're reading it, because it seems like it might be a few people, and I don't know if I should give it away. Matter of fact, I'm not going to give it away. You want to go out and get this book in any case because of how gorgeous it is. It is quite literally a love letter to Batman, and the letter that's inside of it, again, it's written by Batman's one true enemy, and I can't pump that one up enough. It was a real sweet job. Brandon, did you get a chance to look at any of those this week?
No, I didn't.
I know you've been pretty busy. Can I strongly suggest you at least check out Dear Detective?
I probably will, since I like Lee Bermejo's art. His writing is a bit of a different story. He did a book at Vertigo. I think it was called Suiciders, and that was questionable. But I will definitely check this out.
Yeah, this isn't quite so much, not even so much a story. It is a place for him to show off all of his fantastic bat art.
It's just covers, if I remember correctly. But
yeah,
I know they were saying they were going to try and string it together to make a story, but
somewhat, very loosely. But I enjoyed the hell out of it. It's so gorgeous.
Mm.
See, do we got a Rob here?
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to find that Kyle Rayner page, because he used, oh my god, he used a certain name instead of Chip, and I'm trying to find it because I can't remember what it is, and I thought maybe, oh, come on, what? That's just too weird. And I'm trying to find it now. Oh yeah, Chipolata. What?
Chipolata.
What? Why would Chip be called Chipolata? As
obviously, Chip is the leader of the Squirrel Amazons.
apparently. And I'm really confused why Kyle is not gender bent as well, but that's neither here nor there. Apparently, gender bent Kyle is just a dick that, that stuffs his girlfriends in freezers, which
with red hair, reddish hair.
with red hair, yeah. You know, as you do apparently when you have red hair.
Oh, you know, all redheads are evil. That's what this writer's trying to tell us.
Yeah.
All right, so you guys ready to swing some spotlight?
Yeah, let's do it.
Sure thing. So our first book, I believe that is me, as new champion of Shazam number 2. Just give me one sec. And I will pull up the book. I'm having some technical difficulties over here, folks. Sorry about that. Everything seems to be working against me today. And here I was supposed to be the one that was prepared.
Oh, no.
Okay, so new champion of Shazam number 2. That is written by Josie Campbell with art from the incomparable Evan Doc Shaner and letters from Becca Carey. So we have our new champion of Shazam is gone off to a new college closer to home back in Fawcett City, the Fawcett Community College, where she has become decided to go there to get a little closer to her family, and Mary goes to see her adopted siblings to see how they're doing, where all of them are not really doing so great, including Darla, who does get cheered up very quickly by the appearance of Hoppy in Mary's backpack. So Mary goes off to college, where Eugene is actually taking classes there, and tries to talk to him, but he brushes her off because he has a reputation to uphold in the college, and he's also bummed about the fact that their parents are gone, they have no powers, and there's nothing they can do to save anyone. So Mary goes off to her first class, feeling a little defeated, how she can't help her brothers and sister. Meets her first professor, but right as the class begins, there's a crash on the local freeway. So she sneaks out, transforms into Mary Marvel, and heads off to fight what appears to be a giant alligator, which Hoppy says is kind of created for magic, but not really full of magic in a very cryptic way. But there is a little device on the belly of the... at least I'm assuming it's an alligator. Might be a crocodile. I really don't know the difference. That Mary says it looks familiar because she has seen it before, as you might have remember from the first issue with the bank robbery. It explodes, and in its place appears 3 cloaked figures, shadowy figures, if you will, with devices on each of their chests. They seem to be technologically powered, and can control the electricity that she does send at them, and they send it right back to her. Hoppy tries to get in the way, but is quickly electrocuted and left unresponsive, and they leave with the Crocagator with wings. I forgot it has wings, which is extra weird. So Mary takes
let's just
Hoppy.
call it a chimera.
That's better. It's a chimera. So Mary takes Hoppy and runs off, but is interrupted by some news reporters on camera trying to ask about a bunch of questions. But then she flies away, feeling a little overwhelmed, lands somewhere near an abandoned warehouse, transforms back to Mary, and then notices a whole bunch of missing posters, including her parents, Rosa and Victor, where she realizes that it's not just her parents. There are people all over the city that have gone missing, and now she begins to wonder just what is really going on.
What's
so for me, this
going
humor
on?
is still perfect. I think a great voice for this character is coming out of Josie Campbell, and Doc, as usual, is just perfect, especially for Shazam. You can't really... you have other artists that have done Shazam really well, but I really don't think there's anybody but Doc at this point can do a good Shazam book.
Without it coming out, well, I mean, for quite some time at the very least, I'll definitely agree with you there. Otherwise, from most of them come out looking a little too cartoony for me.
Yeah. But with Doc, he's got a classic feel to his art that really brings out the what was the original comics company?
Wiz Comics.
Wiz
Fawcett
The
Comics.
original? Yeah.
Book was called Wiz Comics. Yeah.
Yeah. That really brings out that feel, that classic style. So yeah, I gave it an 8.75. I loved it. I'm really enjoying it. I hope we get more Shazam down the road.
Me too. I enjoyed the hell out of it. I like the pencils. I like the colors. The glass reflection panel, that was awesome. The story is still interesting, but I do need to know who the hell these fuzzy black Incredibles are. They look like Incredibles anyway. It's fun. It keeps me reading. It's easy to look at. I wish I knew that there was going to be more story after this short arc, or at least I wish it was going to be a little longer. But I suppose I will take what we can get. That said, do we think that her superhero name is going to remain Mary Marvel, or shall she adopt the moniker of Shazam?
Oh, I don't know.
What do
is
you
an
think,
interesting
Brandon?
question.
That's a
makes
good
more
question.
sense.
Yeah. Probably Shazam then, yeah.
Yeah.
If not Mary Marvel anymore.
All right. Well, I was just curious. I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, no, this one is it's still fun. It's still very cute. Definitely has the spirit of the old Wiz comics and Shazam comics. Feels a lot more whimsical, I think, than the previous Captain Marvel Shazam books have. The Fawcett Community College, Fawcett City Radio was a fun callback to the Shazam's original location, Fawcett City, although it does kind of call into question whether or not Fawcett City still exists, and whether or not the Shazam family were ever a part of it, as well as Mary kind of makes her debut on TV, and they're like, "Who are you?" It's like, wait a minute, you don't know who she is? Mary Marvel. Everyone knows Mary Marvel. You should know her as well as you know Captain Marvel, which is
Right.
felt a little odd. But again, it sort of calls into question what's even in continuity anymore and what's not. So, and that gives me a headache. So I'm not even gonna try. But other than that, it's still pretty fun. So this one got a 7.75 out of 10 for me.
Right on.
Right on, yeah. Okay, so yeah, I already don't have a good transition. We're gonna go to Poison Ivy number 4 next.
Written by G. Willow Wilson with art by Marcio Takara and Arif Prianto. Letters from Hassan Otsmani Alhau and Jessica Fong did the cover. Picking right up from last issue, Ivy is starting that job. It's a real shitty place, real asshole of a boss, pee in a bottle, and all that kind of deal. She's there because it's a shipping warehouse and she can infect the packages going everywhere in the world. She does just that for a bit before seeing the boss sexually assault her coworker for a second time that morning. So she says, "I'll be right back," goes up to the boss's office, infects him, makes him write an email supporting raises and a union for all of his employees. Ivy used a lot. He'll be dead in minutes. So Ivy and the coworker skip work and hook up. Afterwards, she's writing to Harley again, saying she was thinking of her the whole time she was doing the other chick, and that she really doesn't want to die anymore. She gets attacked by a plant monster while the other girl from the factory is still there, so now she knows for sure it's not hallucinations. It's the Green Man, and now they're after each other. You would think that DC would stick to one identity using the name Green Man. I mean, in various different eras and various different stories, the Green Man's been used. Swamp Thing, Green Arrow, Green Lantern of 2828, I think. And because of that last one, it always makes me giggle. But anyway, interesting turn here. The plot thickens. How does she turn back from where she is? And what she has done? Will the art keep being as killer as it is? There's only one way to find out. That's to read the extended run of this series. I am thankful that it got more issues, and I will continue to be doing so. I gave Poison Ivy number 4 a 9 out of 10.
Oh, hell yeah.
Is Green... I should have asked Rob ahead of time. Is Green Man, is that Green Lantern of 2828? I believe that's 2828.
I believe it is 2828, and I believe that is right because he's the partner of Stell, the robot, who I believe is also from 2828. So.
Okay, I know Green Man was a weird one for sure.
Oh, you should see his partner.
Well, what did you guys think of Poison Ivy?
Honestly, this has become, I think, the runaway book of the summer, and it just keeps getting better. I did have a short criticism about it, but I'll get to that after I talk about all the fun stuff I liked. Now that we are confirmed this as a second story are coming, I am super excited to see how this one ends, considering this was supposed to be 6 issues, and it still feels like a pretty self-contained story, so what the hell is next that would get another 6 issues? The art's still fantastic, a great voice for Poison Ivy, still holding on to that relationship with Harley while still furthering this whole idea that Ivy has that she needs to kill the world finally, and just keeping on this mystery of the Green Man, who I think we all realistically know is the Floronic Man, but I think they're trying to keep that under wraps still for some reason. My only gripe though is that every chapter so far, story-wise, plot-wise, has been relatively the same. Like, Ivy ends up somewhere in the country to spread more spores in a creative new way, but then comes across someone that gives her a bit of humanity back and some hope, and then she has to kill for them, and then she goes to continue her journey once she's found out who she really is. And it's almost like a Monster of the Week kind of episode.
Sort of, I could
Monster
see
of the Week
that.
episode kind of deal, yeah. But I've always loved those shows. So for some people, I can understand they wouldn't. But there's 2 issues left, so I imagine they're going to be shying away from that archetype very soon.
I will say this is the first time that we've seen her willingly stop herself from infecting someone, though, have we not? It's the first time it's ever been put on page where she's actively making sure she's not transmitting spores. Is that right? Am I missing that?
I think she tried to do it the last issue with the hotel owner or motel owner, or she just tried to keep her distance. I don't remember. I could be wrong about that.
She was probably doing it, and I just don't remember.
Who knows? Anyway, all in all, I gave this another 8.75. Fantastic run so far. I hope they keep it up. I think they will. It's been 4 issues so far. It hasn't slowed down yet.
All right.
I did not get a chance to read this one. Time ran out for me, like the end of Hickman's Avengers run, and this was one of the holdouts. So I didn't get a chance to read it, but it sounds very good, and I enjoyed the last issue immensely. So I imagine this one will be good too. As to your point, Rob, about who the Green Man is, I'm pretty sure you're wrong. There's only one person the Green Man can be, and that's Charlie Kelly. But
Wild card,
yeah.
bitches.
Yeah. All my It's Always Sunny fans are gonna get that one.
That's another show I've been binging recently.
Yeah.
Timing.
You said
do you
Green
not?
Man, and that was like the first thing that popped into my head, and I was imagining him showing up and hunting Poison Ivy, and that made me laugh.
Man, I'm
inside.
sorry I've been scaring you. Like,
I
I don't know.
know.
I just really wanted to be the mascot, and I thought I could help.
I know. Oh man,
They call
I
me
would pay to see
Seiko.
that.
That's not my name.
Um, and yeah, no, I hope it's as good as the last issue.
And I do too. I hope they all are.
Okay, so that
Oh,
is
oh,
one.
oh, wait, there was another point. I hate buying this book. Um, I hate buying this book because it makes me feel like a pervert. Every time I go into the store and I have the guy pull the book for me, it I the covers I forget this artist's name. I'm sorry, like I said, I'm very tired. But whoever this artist is, like I have it sitting on my desk right now, and they're doing a wonderful job. But it's just these very cheesecakey covers, which is fine. But it just I feel uncomfortable buying it because like I just look at it and I feel like I'm getting stares because they're of a very specific type of cover. It like reminds me of like those Witchblade covers from Image. Yeah, and
All
the
right.
special report is I feel like a pervert every time I pick up this book because it's like a very sexualized version of Poison Ivy, and I feel weird about it. But and like I said, I hope this issue is good. I hope the story is good and it makes up for me feeling like a gross sex pest.
They are. I see what you're saying with the way that the covers look. I get that. They're drawn a certain way.
Which is fine. It's just I don't know. I feel kind of like I feel kind of iffy about it sometimes when it's just like I have it hanging around my room. It's like you snuck your dad's Playboy, and you don't want anyone to see it lest they judge you. But I probably won't.
I mean, just for those who are unaware, it is Ivy sitting at a desk. There's some blood around her, some veins, some plant matter, and her shirt is unbuttoned to the point where you can see her bra quite a bit. But to be fair, pretty much all of the Poison Ivy covers have been something similar. Fantastic talent, though, man. Fantastic talent.
Yeah,
I
definitely.
would say you'd be fine if somebody just saw the cover, then like poked their head inside to confirm what it was. Because normally it would be just it's a comic book. There's people talking. It's superheroes and whatnot. But then this issue, it'd be awkward if you're at that like graphic sex page.
No, it's not what you think. No.
Oh no.
Oh man.
It's not that
the
graphic.
story is really good. I promise. I promise.
Yeah.
It's not what you
Super
think.
for
good.
the articles.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
I
what
was
we tell
thinking,
everybody.
I'm gonna go on another tangent. Again, I'm sorry. It's just where my mind is. But I remember I was reading Gail Simone did Red Sonja, and it is a brilliant run. It is one of the best. I mean, there aren't a lot of great Red Sonja runs, but it's arguably
No,
the
there's
best one
not.
out there. And I loved reading it so much. But every time I would pick it up from the library, I would feel really self conscious about it. And so I would always sneak it in my backpack because this was like 2015 or 14 or something. And I would sneak it in my backpack because I was scared my mom would see it and be like, what is this story? And then I would have to explain. I was like, no, it's not like that at all. Like it's a really great character study of Sonia, done in a way that only Gail Simone can do. But like the covers are super misleading because you look at it and you think it's like it's sort of like TNA garbage, but it's actually not. It's really great. But I was always like self conscious. Someone would see it and be like, wait. And I would have to explain and be like, wait, no, it's not like that. It's not what you think. So that's a humorous anecdote to make your day.
What is this smut?
I know. It's like, wait, no, no, I can explain. It's like an episode of Seinfeld or something.
Whoa. You know what I just realized? And maybe Maybe it's just connecting dots on two different pages here. And I'm sorry, but I'm going way backwards. Grant Morrison's new book is called Luda, and it's about drag queens and dark magic.
Mhm.
And Luda is also the name of Leatherface's mom, Leatherface, who famously likes to dress up as women.
Whoa. 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 Holy Easter egg, Batman. I did not catch that.
Well then.
That's insane.
That's freaky.
I
Did
wonder.
that just come to you?
Yeah, and it
Oh
makes
my
me
God.
wonder if Grant Morrison is a Texas Chainsaw Massacre fan.
Is that like one of those? Is that like one of those no sleep moments of genius? Because I've had those where you're just like
No,
your brain is
it
so
might
checked
be.
out, and then you're like, oh my God, and you just come
Where
up with
did that
something you
bell
never
just
would
come from?
have. Whoa, like Keanu. Whoa.
It
Anyway,
very well could be.
yeah.
Nice. All right. Anyway,
Great.
that
great
was
things
a.
happen when you're not when you don't get any sleep.
Oh yeah.
Okay.
That's what they keep telling me.
So we're gonna go from one Gotham City adjacent character to another Gotham City adjacent character, with Sword of Azrael #2. I believe
We are
this is
going to do
all
that.
Brandon.
Yes, but we're not in Gotham City, not quite, as we are in the distant Isle of I don't remember exactly where this monastery is supposed to be. It will come to me later, I'm sure. But we're there because, as we know, Jean Paul has taken a little bit of a vacation, a sojourn, just to get his head right. So this is Sword of Azrael #2, written by Dan Waters, with art from Nicola Cismezija, with colors from Marissa Louise and letters from Hassan Otsmain El Hau. Jean Paul faces off against Vengeance, who has come to collect the young French girl Brielle on behalf of the Knights Templar. After Vengeance nearly gets the upper hand on Jean Paul, his friend, Brother Carl, steps in to save Jean Paul's life. Vengeance believes that the mission has been compromised and decides to leave, and then Jean Paul heads back to the monastery, only to find the bloody aftermath of Brielle's fanatic slaughters seen at the end of the last issue. She declares herself to be Sariel, an angel of God, and Jean Paul realizes that she is like him, a fellow creepy robot programmed by a mysterious order. They decide to flee from the monastery and hide in Athens so that Jean Paul may collect some answers on what Brielle's angel persona may be. To do this, Jean Paul delves into the system within his mind to seek out the answers, testing out his theory that the system is actually a black box containing the memories of the Order of Saint Dumas. He turns out to be correct, though horrifically so, as the memories that Jean Paul discovers are so vile and so graphic that they trap him within his own mind. Meanwhile, the poor fellow, introduced in Dark Nights and Soul, who has been watching Jean Paul and Brielle's place in Athens during all of this, decides to intervene now, seeking out Brielle and telling her that she truly is an angel, offers her a place among the Knights Templar. She accepts, taking Jean Paul's sword as she departs. This was definitely a bit more of an expository issue, but the revelation about Brielle and the system are all very fascinating, and I can't wait to see how they unfold here. I think Dan Waters is approaching Azrael's mythology in a very creative way. Sort of like kind of reminds me of Immortal Hulk, where they're getting more into the psychological side, which we should definitely see more of, with a character that is as disturbed as Azrael. Cismezija does an excellent job with the action and the softer moments as well, and really does a great job, I assume, of interpreting Waters' script, which I imagine has a lot of metaphysical and philosophical language in it. So I gave this one an 8 out of 10.
Oh yeah, man. I don't think I've been into an Azrael story in a long time. He was one of those characters that were great and then just kind of got shuffled off into the broom closet. Here, do something with him. Even sent his ass
many
to
90s characters. So.
Yeah, even sent his ass to space with a bunch of other people who were doing nothing at the time. Or Jessica Cruz. But I had, of course, I had serious doubts when I picked this up. Now I can't wait for issue 3 just to see what happens. Bring back the poor fellow, more of the Templar lore. things could get pretty cool. I really like the art, especially the page that showed the descent, his descent into the system. That was cool as hell. Surprised me, man. Go Azrael. 8.25 out of 10.
I'm just picturing certain members of the Bat Fam are a different Power Ranger.
Oh man, I was imagining. I think we're in the same wavelength, but I was imagining because there have been many different Azraels through history, and I was imagining them like all coming together as a Power Rangers force, and like because they're all crazy, each one is taking on like a different aspect of like Christianity. So instead of it being like Mastodon or whatever, it's like vengeance, faith, servitude, and they all like come together and they form a giant Christ robot. That's probably blasphemy. I shouldn't say that, but it was entertaining to think about.
Right.
In all my years and all the discussions I've had and wild ideas and crazy stories and people coming up with the most zany shit possible, myself included, I've come up with some pretty zany shit. Never in my wildest dreams would I have ever thought I'd hear about Christian Power Rangers.
Oh man,
Jesus Zord.
I'm sure it
God.
exists. You'd be surprised how many Christian knockoffs there are.
Wait. Is Zordon Jesus?
Oh my,
Oh my
God.
god. Zordon is Jesus. Does that mean what's the robot's name again?
5.
Alpha 5. Is Alpha 5 like Saint Peter? Oh my god. Oh my god. Probably.
You stumbled on something.
Oh my god.
This is how you can tell I'm at least 15
us.
years older than everybody else, because the
Yeah.
first thing I thought of when I said go was Inspector Gadget.
Oh shit.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that too.
I mean, I also partook in Inspector Gadget when I was a child, but I'm more used to
Well,
Power
actually,
Rangers.
it kind of works because Brielle is like Penny, and Azrael can be the creepy, zealous version of Inspector Gadget.
Oh, good.
And Vengeance is Claw, maybe, or the Poor Fellow's Claw. I don't know. You can
Poor fellow's probably Claw.
that. I used to love. I didn't
Dr.
watch
Claw.
the cartoon; it was before my time. But we used to rent the movies from Blockbuster, if you can believe it. I used to love the crap out of those. They're so terrible, but they're so entertaining.
The Matthew Broderick movies.
Yeah. Oh,
Ah,
God.
yeah. Those were something else. The cartoons
Yeah.
are so much better.
Oh yeah, the early '90s, late '80s, early '90s. That was the real shit right there. I'm not one to say that modern stuff is not good, but I will admit that classic Inspector Gadget is way better than modern Inspector Gadget. Anyway, sort of Power Ranger Gadget reel. Yeah, interesting premise so far. I'm curious where it ends up. That's all the notes I had, because it feels like everything else I could have talked about happened in the first issue as well, with the biblical version of Azrael appearing in Jean Paul Valley's mind. Again, like brilliant artwork, beautiful style. Just not. This was really. It felt just like plot moving. That's all it really was. So it
Progression.
Plot. Yeah. I do not remember the precursor story to this though. With what was the villain's name?
Poor Fellow. That was in it was in Urban Legends originally,
Okay,
but they
it was that
reprinted it as the Dark Knights of the Soul. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Maybe
Yeah, it was
I
the
know
one
I finished
that-
that story, but I don't remember.
You remember when they dropped this book, they dropped the compendium of the other one as well. I guess not a compendium. They just collected
Yeah,
it
just
all,
the
right?
collected edition. Yeah. But
Maybe I didn't
but
finish that
good story
I
though.
thought I did, but I don't know.
Maybe.
And I'm-
Were you there when we were talking about it? I don't actually. Wait a minute. You know what? We probably didn't even cover it because we weren't covering Urban Legends anymore. So that's probably
Oh.
why.
But I still read
or-
a good chunk of Urban Legends.
What I vaguely remember talking about it. But maybe it
At
was
least
just
the
the first
first
one.
part.
Yeah, yeah, the first part.
Yeah, I don't know. Anyway,
Yeah.
we're here now.
Oh God, what is
If you're
time?
as confused as I am, you know where to look.
I'm gonna quote Grant again from last nine. Time is everything, and time is nothing. So, what even? When even did it happen? Or maybe it never did. Who knows?
what a profound fellow. I need to meet this person.
Time is everything, and time is nothing. I was like,
That,
fuck.
yes.
It broke my heart. So yes, maybe it happened, Rob, or maybe it didn't, or maybe it will happen. Well,
Maybe it hasn't happened yet. Correct.
Maybe it's happening
oh
right
my
now.
God. Oh,
Oh God,
to
that
sleep.
broke me.
Uh,
I can't wrap
maybe
my head
maybe
around
this
right now.
is the moment where you were meant to read it.
And in the spirit of going off on a tangent, that always makes me think. Every time I hear about something like that, that one scene in Spaceballs
Oh
where
my
they
God, which
pop in
one?
the videotape to see where the heroes are, and then they end
Yeah,
up now.
Sphinx,
Yeah.
sphinx, 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 sphinx,
yeah.
sphinx, sphinx, sphinx. Sphinx, 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 sphinx,
Keep calling.
sphinx.
We ain't found shit.
Oh man, I haven't rewatched that in so long.
Stay
Such a
tuned for
great
Spaceballs 2, The Search for More Money.
we got the Spaceballs
Uh.
lunchbox. Yeah. Oh God, that's a movie we have to revisit. Okay, but that's for another podcast. I don't think I gave my score yet for Azrael number 2. It's an 8 out of 10. Solid book so far. Curious to see where it ends up. That being said, we're gonna go from one religion with gods to another not religion with gods. I'm horrible at these transitions. My God, somebody else take over. It's
You're
Nubia.
better than me, buddy.
Yours are pretty good compared to my crock. Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, number 4 is coming at you, and that is brought to us by Mr. Josh.
That's me. Nice to meet you all.
Josh Williamson.
No.
We'll talk about him later.
I finish things I start. Written by Stephanie Williams, art from Alita Martinez, Mark Morales, and John Livesey, with Alex Guamirez, and letters from Becky Carey, with the cover from Carrie Randolph, who, by the way, Carrie Randolph was one bad mamma jamma. I never heard that name, so I had to look it up. Damn, they've done some good work. Anyway.
Yeah, check out a book called Excellence. It is, no surprise, excellent.
Excellent.
Brandon Thomas, Carly Randolph. Easily one of my favorite books I read last year.
Heck yeah. Dang. That's some pretty high praise.
Yeah.
So, though Nubia and Zilla, or Nesser, if you will, for all of 6 seconds, they're from the same place, right?
Yeah.
Like Nubia was her hero. Am I forgetting something? Why are Zilla's ears pointed like she's from Lord of the Rings? I mean, it's probably nothing, but I just noticed it, so I thought I would ask if there's something I'm missing there.
Teeth were fanged, and that's because the artist thought it was cool, and then forgot.
Ah, gotcha. Okay, so anyway, here we go. We get 2 quick glimpses. First, of Amazons in cities looking at the damage and trying to help. The second quick glimpse we get in this book is of gods saying they're going to remind humans of who's in charge. Other than that, the whole book is Nubia and Zilla fighting. Very, very generic banter between the two of them goes on throughout the whole book. And that is the book. It carries little to no importance for anything. The amulets, the battles, none of it made anything. It was introduced and then it was pushed away and pushad. Not even the characters had anything real important. It was 4 issues just to have 4 issues, and it could have been really something. Instead, it ends with a hero and a mustache-twirling villain dialogue that just did not do it for me. I didn't hate it, but I do feel like it was a real waste. I did dig the art, but Nubia deserved better than whatever this was supposed to be. So it got a 6 out of 10. It did nothing.
Yeah.
How about
I'm
you
right there
guys?
with you. It is cool to see the end of the story, I suppose, but at this point, I was having trouble caring as the story's been going on. I don't remember if I've been saying it, but I've just been getting less and less interested. And while I was trying to keep up beats with it and be excited for it because I really dug the newbie stuff we've had so far, this story kind of fell off. It just wasn't the most exciting at the end of it. The art was fairly good. I really
Mm-hmm.
enjoyed the art. I'm confused about the pointy ears and fangs, though. That was a little out of place. And there's just a lot of story beats that were not explained, like you said. Um, yeah, they showed the history, but they don't show much about what the point of now is. So I gave it a 7. The art really bumped it up for me. And the fact that they do promise to see more coming from the story in the pages of Wonder Woman promises to lead us to something more and hopefully some more answers, but that remains to be seen.
We saw the same thing mentioned in Yara Floor, so I almost feel like that's just going to be the case is, hey, if you want to see more Amazons, buy the one Amazon book that we're going to be putting out. Surely some of them will show up in there at some point. And that ticks me off. I mean, I'm not going to rage about it, but I mean, again, we've got 1,303 Batman books. We could at least have a few Wonderverse books.
Yep.
What did you think, Brandon?
This was another one that I did not get a chance to read again because time ran out and the incursions came. But
Incursions.
I'm not I'm not hearing good things, and the series has been kind of a wash for the most part, so I'm not looking forward to this ending. Um, and I'm disappointed to hear that it's not completely wrapped up. It's just leading to, I guess, Wonder Woman also, but Wonder Woman has a whole other story going on. Or I guess it just finished its Milk story, so maybe this is going to be the next story. I don't know. I haven't looked at the
Tale of the
series, but
Psychic Milk.
yeah. But yeah, no, that's sad to hear.
Very sad to hear.
Yeah,
Very
can
sad
I
to say.
disappoint you guys though?
Oh,
'Cause I know
sure.
you've both been raving about how the Milk story in Wonder Woman is done, but it's just the Doctor Psycho story is done. The Milk is still there.
Uh, well,
Oh,
never
no. Yeah,
mind
I
then.
wasn't happy about it. I think it's
Oh,
total bullshit.
yeah.
Yeah, whatever. What's her name is? I forget who it even is supposed to be, but that person. I don't even remember. That's how insignificant. That's how important this stupid shit is to me. Psychic fucking milk. Jesus Christ. Oh man, don't think of Deimos or Grail or the Horsewomen of the Apocalypse. Don't think of Hecate or the Upside Down Man. Wonder Woman's biggest arc as of now should be Milk. How the fuck did they sell that? How did they sell that? How you walking into the editor's room and you're like, hey, check this out. Like, I know we just got done dragging Diane after dying and saving the universe, the omniverse in death metal. We put her through every pantheon, and then we had her fighting her own pantheons, and now we've got her back on Earth. And check this out. After fighting all of those gods, now, what if we find out that she's lactose intolerant?
If I could simplify that further, I could just see somebody walking into the editor's office, putting a glass of milk on the desk, and be like, "That's it." And they're like, "But it's milk," and yeah, it's evil, and like, boom,
It's evil
genius,
milk.
do it. That's brilliant.
Oh God. Maybe psychedelics shouldn't be allowed in the comics workplace.
Maybe the milk just is laced with mushrooms. We don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. Having tasted milk and mushrooms, that would be some nasty ass milk.
I can imagine. I've never tasted psychedelic mushrooms, but I've tasted other mushrooms, and I can't imagine any mushrooms would be good with milk.
Huh.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well, that's for another week when the next issue of Wonder Woman comes out. For now, though,
Right.
that is it for our spotlight issues and our honorable mentions. So we're going to take a short break. Stay tuned. Don't go too far away.
Now, back to our program.
Welcome back. Thank you for sticking with us. So we are about to get into our in-depth reviews, which promise to be a little bit longer, a little more personalized, a little more detailed, but realistically, they're not much different from our spotlight reviews, because we tend to go on.
we just talk too
first off,
goddamn much.
Yeah, we are going to talk about Batman number 127. I'm going to tell you all about that. If my phone would stop acting up, oh my god. I haven't plugged into my computer, but it keeps unplugging and plugging itself back in, so I'm constantly getting dings in my ear.
Ain't
so
that
this
fun?
issue of Batman was written by Chip Zdarsky, with art from Jorge Jimenez, colors from Tomomori, and letters from Clayton Cowles. So we open up on a brief interlude of Batman and Superman in the past, just titled Then, but through their conversation, you get the text box that tells you that this takes place during the classic JLA story arc from Mark Waid, Tower of Babel, where Bruce
Babel's
Wayne...
son, lest you spite your Christian masters.
Apparently, I was always Protestant or Anglican anyway. So, I don't know. Maybe
I guess
that's
you could say
another...
my own system kicked in, and I was like, blasphemer! You said Babel wrong.
Like,
Must
there
be
was
punished.
maybe it might honestly just be like a cultural thing between our two countries again.
Oh,
Because
yeah, I'm sure.
there was a Much Music VJ, if I remember right. His name was Matt Babel, and if that sounds right, I think that was his last name, and they always pronounce it like that, so that just got stuck in my head. I don't know. I feel like I'm very wrong, but anyway, Tower of Babel, where it was discovered that Batman kept files on every member of the Justice League, in the eventuality that one of them went rogue and kept contingency plans to take down each and every one of them, but it fell into the wrong hands, and those hands systematically attacked the Justice League. And then they voted Batman out because he did this without their knowing. So Superman and Batman are talking about the votes, and Superman's asking, what's your contingency plan for yourself? What's the plan to take down the Batman? And as Batman famously says, as you've seen this scene in many things, I believe, including the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, it's you, Clark. It's the Justice League. As Clark then replies, really, how does the League take down the man who's planned for us? Tell me the truth, damn it. In a world where you know your every move, who stops the Batman? And then we cut to now, where we know who stops the Batman, and that is Failsafe. But also
That is what
Batman
we call
and
a
Zur-En-Arrh.
flawless transition.
Exactly. Yeah. Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, which I will just refer to as Zur-En-Arrh from here on out, has emerged from his cave within a cave, to Tim Drake's surprise, and saves him from tripping and falling down a cavern, because Tim is obviously a little taken aback by what's going on. And he says that I am Batman, pure and simple, the Batman of Zur-En-Arrh. I have no Bruce Wayne within me. I am simply just Batman. And your Batman has called on me to save everyone. So they go a little bit deeper into his secret cavern, or secret, room underneath the floor in the cave.
Zur-En Cave?
The Zur-En-Arrh cave, yeah. Has a little laboratory for himself, which is kind of curious considering how many times Zur-En-Arrh supposedly has come out, but we don't really know, I guess, everything. And as they're working on as Batman Zur-En-Arrh is working on some technology to fight Failsafe, Failsafe itself comes bursting into the cave with a loud tomb, scanning around and looking for Zurinar and Robin. It finds them as Zurinar shoots a gauntlet missile from his forearm straight into Failsafe, but it does next to nothing. Zurinar throws a little device at Tim, tells him to begin to attack. The mission only ends when they're dead. They activate the weapons, and they look like lightsabers, but more flame. It's really hard to tell, but it looks freaking awesome. So they go on and attack Failsafe one by one with their flame sabers, but they are no match for Failsafe. It's just too good. There's a heavy fight between them. Failsafe gets the upper hand. There are some explosions, and Zurinar is committed to the fight, but Tim says, "Look, you've got Batman's body. We need to get away. It's already taken a beating. We need help." Then we cut to the streets of Gotham, where the Bat family are recouping their wounds, talking to Renee Montoya, who's trying to get all the information she can to help them out. Dick is talking to Oracle, saying that thing took out all of us in minutes. We need backup. We need help. And Barbara says, "I'm on it. Just save as many people as you can." So we cut back to Tim and Zurinar. Tim is trying to get out to the Bat family, but finds the signals jammed. They're up in the mansion now, and Zurinar is ready to just attack some more, but Tim is trying to give him some reason, saying, you already tried to fight it. It nearly killed you. We need to be strategic, and if you're really Batman without Bruce, then start acting like it, because Batman is nothing but strategy. Given time to prepare, he can do anything. So, that's not what he said. That's what I'm saying.
Right.
Zurinar decides to be a little strategic as Failsafe explodes its way through the open door. I don't know why the door's open. Why do you need to blow it open further? Come on, just tilt your body a little bit.
Everything is about presentation.
I guess it did look beautiful because it's Jorge Jimenez and Tomomori, but this beautiful grandfather clock. Anyway, Zurinar does get a little strategic, saying cover yourself in dust because it will mask excess heat signatures, and he put a tracer on Failsafe so he can stay one step ahead of it. It is currently in the study, tearing up some portraits, and just as it's about to get to a portrait of Bruce, a young Bruce, and Alfred, Zurinar says stay away from Alfred, and comes lunging out with his flame saber, goes in for attack, fails spectacularly. Tim comes from behind with his flame saber, fails spectacularly, and then Failsafe shoots off some missiles. Tim blocks him with his cape, so that's a really strong cape. And then Failsafe just says, "Fighting me just causes your family pain." And then Zurinar replies with, "Not family, soldiers, my army, and the war isn't done." But after that, Bruce, deep inside the mind of their shared body, says, "No, don't lose sight of who you are. I've let you out because I thought you could deactivate Failsafe. I'm Batman, I'm Bruce Wayne, and Tim is my soldier, he's my son." And at that point, Bruce takes over the body once again. He's my son. Robin, go limp, let's get out of here. And they break out through the window, trying to escape, but Bruce just sends Tim away as he goes back for the fight, telling Tim to go signal for help. But Bruce instantly gets snared by Failsafe, gets lunged right back into the mansion, and is about to be taken out. But Bruce tries to be strategic himself, saying, "If I was so smart, did I do this to defend it?" And yes, I did defend it. That did nothing. I'm too damn good. Okay. Plan B, set the Batcave to self-destruct, but then Failsafe knows, "See, I know you're gonna try to self-destruct, but I disable it. Fuck you." So Bruce is kind of screwed.
I can see the wheels turning in your brain, or something like that.
Yeah, it is fantastic. So he's on his deathbed. The mansion's on fire yet again. He sees images of his family running around the stairs. And as Failsafe is taking his final step towards Bruce to deliver the final blow, there's whoosh. He does not hear Failsafe, but he hears him, and that him is Superman. As the flames are extinguished, and Superman standing in the doorway in an image that I can only describe as poster-worthy, says, "I'm going to need you to back away from my friend." And next we will see the League of Gotham as shown in the next text box. So that's a badass entrance. My God, the arts. I already mentioned the colors. The colors are just gorgeous. Making this whole story essentially about Tower of Babel, I think, is another great throwback that we've been having from Chip Zdarsky. He's just throwing back all sorts of fantastic Batman stories. I'm curious if the Justice League will even be a match for Failsafe, because, as was stated at the beginning of the issue, how can the Justice League counter a man that has counters for them? And if this man made a robot to counter him, realistically, that robot should be able to counter the entire Justice League as well, you'd think. But I guess we'll see, because it's going to be a hell of a friggin' brouhaha. I'm excited. This has been a fantastic run so far. I think we're 3 issues deep. Excuse me, showing no signs of slowing down. I'll give my whole score at the end. Do you guys want to talk about the backup first, or do you want me to bring up the backup first? Or do you want to talk about the front first?
No,
We can
I
keep talking
don't
at the
care.
front.
Well, if that's the case, if we're getting into, did you already give your score for the front half, Rob, or is that going to be at
No,
the end?
I've stopped scoring the 2 separate. I just scored the whole book as a whole.
Sounds good.
Smart.
Well, then let me say, Jesus, this book is so fun to read. For something that is dark, for something that is action-packed, for something that's reaching back to Tower of Babel, it's just fucking fun. I've missed that about dramatic stories. And already that's what I love the most about this. It's a legitimate, placed in this time without hiccups, but just really good, fun story, and I can't wait for more. I will say that Failsafe doesn't seem to be intimidated by Clark, though. If I'm not mistaken, his response to Clark showing up was, "I urge you to leave." Something very similar to that. Yeah, "I urge you to fly away." And then we get that badass page of Superman. But so he doesn't seem like he's too worried about Clark. Maybe he's got a kryptonite weapon. Maybe he's got all the failsafes, like Rob said. All I know is that the freaking art is freaking awesome. It's an awesome team, and the Superman looks so good. And thank you, Zdarsky, for kicking ass. Zdarsky and co. What do you think?
Did you score it?
Well, we're gonna give them at the end, from what I understand.
Oh, I thought that was just Rod.
Yeah, if you guys
No.
want to do it, you can do it. I
Yeah.
just didn't score separate.
Yeah, because I did score it separately. I just off of instinct. But yeah, no, this is a story that, like, right from the first page, I had a big old smile on my face, because what a lot of people appreciated about Zdarsky's run on Daredevil was it could dip into the well of continuity, but it could do it in a way that's not just fan servicey. It's not like, oh, remember this, but it's like, yes, we know that happened. What if I'm showing you a different perspective of it, something that maybe you haven't seen before, something that bridges the gap, that gives you an added insight, that almost provides an excess layer of, or not excess, an extra layer of depth to the story. So right from the first page, because I knew JLA Tower of Babel, despite being a terrible character story for Batman, has one of the most pimp endings of all time. And I'm sure most people know, where the JLA are gathered around and they're debating whether or not to keep Bruce in the League. And then they have him in a separate room, and once they go to check on him to see, like, to tell him what their verdict was, he's already gone, because he knows exactly how they're going to vote. And it just ends on that, and it's one of the most pimp endings of a JLA story of the last 2 decades or so. So I knew
Oh,
that
easily.
going in, and I was like, oh, so this is like directly after that, because it's funny that you had mentioned we've seen variations of this scene, Rob, but to my memory, I don't think they've ever had a scene like this in comic form. I think they had it on the they did like a dramatic reading version of Batman reading all the ways that he would take down the League. But they never actually showed him saying like, my failsafe for the League is the League itself. I
Yeah,
don't think they
not
showed it
not
in
in
any
comic
comic or
form
anything.
anyway.
So right from the get go, I was like, all right, we're off to a good start, because it's a perfect way to tap into Tower of Babel without just repurposing a scene, but actively trying to show something new and using that as a springboard to connect to the story that you're telling right now, which is just it's like genius. As for the rest of the story, it is mostly just fighting between Batman and Failsafe, but it's very dramatic. It's definitely keeping you on your toes, and it's just a fun way to, I guess, escalate the story, if you will. It's Zur-En-Arrh, Batman of Zur-En-Arrh, facing off against his crazy mechanical robot, and it's fun to see Zur-En-Arrh again, who's acting just as wild as he was in R.I.P. I love that he's still using the very like outdated 50s terminology. So he talks to Tim, and he's like, I want to make sure you're
Chum.
safe, chum. And
Yeah.
he's like, get out of the way, boy. He's a bit antiquated, which I appreciated. So that was all done very well. And yeah, it's just a great way to continue the story, to keep it escalating in drama and intensity, and God only knows how Superman is going to face off against Failsafe, but it's just it's I don't want to say it's flawless, but it is with very little flaws, at least for me, and it's definitely trying to do its best to honor all aspects of Batman's continuity. So I think there's a lot good going into it, and I'm going to say this again with Dark Crisis, but there's really no point in talking about the art. It's just something that you open up and you look at it and you're like, oh, okay, I see what we're doing here. This is transcendent. It's incredible. There's no point in reiterating what's already been said about it, because you just need to look at it and see it for yourself. So the main story got a 9 out of 10 for me. It's definitely the most invested I've been in a Batman story in a good long while, which sounds dramatic, but it's true.
Right on. Okay, I'll do a brief rundown of the backup. There's not much to it. So this is Catwoman doing the not eulogy. What's the will of the Penguin? Oh my God, I'm forgetting all sorts of names today. But it's not quite that, because apparently that chapter of the story is closed. So we see a shopkeeper that owns a floral shop in Metropolis. Is coming in for the day with his a fresh muffin from the bakery. And Catwoman comes in and instantly calls him out as being Oswald, where the shopkeeper tries to not know what she's talking about, but eventually gives up because Selina keeps pushing. She knows that it's actually Oswald. And he admits it and explains why he's doing what he's doing, that he's just tired of living through the night and just wants to take in some of the daytime, and that the whole song and dance they have with Batman is just getting tired. It's getting old. It's back and forth, and it's getting no one anywhere. So he wants to change of pace. He wants a new life. He fakes his death and heads away and figures one of his children will take up the mantle and run the casino, and everything will be fine. What he didn't anticipate was other children coming in and killing all of his other kids instead. He did not figure that was going to happen, but all he wants now is to be left alone, and he hints that Catwoman should maybe do the same. And after Catwoman leaves, he's reading a newspaper from Gotham and just mutters to himself after reading about how his two children left have taken over the Iceberg Lounge. He says, they're coming for you, the cat and the bat. Make your father proud and destroy them for me, will you? hinting that you can take the Penguin out of Gotham, but you can't take the Gotham out of the Penguin. So Selina stays in Metropolis for one more
Good way to
night.
put that.
Yeah. Just to take in the sights and get a little bit of relaxation. But decides eventually it's time to head home. Yeah, maybe there are some cycles she could break too. She just needs to plan and to be a bigger thorn in people's sides. So that's the end of that story. It was an interesting story, interesting backup, ties into the story quite well. At least it did at the beginning, and then branched off into its own little thing. But honestly, for me, for this part, as interesting as it was, felt a little lacking from how the last part ended, because I definitely got the feeling that Selina was going in for a fight, or was going to confront the children, the Cobblepot children, but that never happened. At least that's the feeling I got. So I was expecting something like that. I was not expecting this, which kind of gives me mixed feelings, because I love the unexpected, but I'm also very confused about what this means for the future. So I think it's good for the future regardless, so I'm all for it. So as a whole, I gave the book a 9.25. I think the whole thing was a solid success.
I had kind of forgotten about the backup from last month, so I had to kind of remind myself what was going on. And I agree. I do think it should have kind of. I mean, maybe it'll be in the Catwoman book. Who knows? But I do think if this is the end of the story, it should have tied in more with the rest of the Cobblepot children. But hopefully this is another interesting direction for Catwoman, and they can do something with that. That Catwoman can be more of a thorn in Cobblepot's side, and Cobblepot must have been talking to Two-Face and gotten the number of the best damn plastic surgeon in Gotham City, because oh my god, it's not even remotely similar to who he used to be. Those disgusting razor sharp teeth seem to have been erased, and he looks like your normal average middle-aged overweight businessman, and not the disgusting, grotesque, corpulent Danny DeVito-esque penguin that we all know and love. I love you, Danny, but I always think of you as a penguin, and Frank Reynolds. But yeah, aside from that, solid chapter. Nothing too spectacular, but aside from kind of not the greatest ending, it wasn't too terrible. So I gave it an 8 out of 10.
Well, the front half of the book sells the shit out of it. So regardless of the backup, I mean, the front half is just that good. I think I know why everybody in Gotham is crazy, though. No one dies for longer than 2 months, and that's gotta be screwing with people. Like, all of the trauma, all of the danger. Why is Batman necessary at all if everybody's just gonna rise from the dead 2 months later? So that's why everybody was fucking crazy. But the story was all right and the art was okay. I'll take it. I gave the whole issue an 8.75 out of 10.
Right on. Yeah, when I saw that Penguin wasn't actually dead, I thought, oh, Josh's not going to be happy about this.
Nope, I was not happy at all. Come on. I mean, seriously, for one, Penguin's useless. 2, Penguin with blonde hair doesn't make him better.
If it means anything, if it makes it better at all, technically, the Penguin is dead, and now he's just a florist in Metropolis. He's changed his identity completely.
Oh, good. That'll change everything.
Till next year, let's face it.
Until next time.
Same Penguin time, same Penguin channel. Walk. Okay, so we are going from... let's see. Going from... We're taking the freeway at a... so Penguin's dead. fuck it. Dark Crisis on Infinite is number 4.
That was incredible.
Yeah.
That was
so,
incredible.
Yeah. Take it
Oh,
away.
I mean, I have no words. I'm speechless. I am without speech. It's another Seinfeld reference for you. Yeah, Dark Crisis number 4. Written by Joshua Williamson with art from Daniel Sampier, colors from Alejandro Sanchez, and letters from Tom Napolitano. There is a pulse of dark energy at the edge of the multiverse that has been surging in strange patterns, and the heroes of the DCU are trying to get to the bottom of it. After the attack on Titan's Tower, Alan Scott gives Dick Grayson a pep talk, and then invites him over to a secret cave to discover, that sounded gross, to discover the truth about Deathstroke and the Great Darkness. Hal Jordan, I just, a secret cave, that sounded like suggestive. Oh my god. Alan, no. Think about Molly. Hal Jordan has his reunion with Barry
Molly's
Allen.
why he's thinking that way.
Yeah, oh god. I know you just came out of the closet, but come on, man. Dick Grayson is a little young for you. What was it? Hal Jordan has his reunion with Barry Allen, and the two plan to make their way across the JL worlds Pariah is controlling in order to free the rest of the Justice League. And finally, Black Adam makes his pitch to the Legion of Doom in order to do the things the other heroes won't do. Only the Legion of Doom are ambushed by Deathstroke and the Society. Following another dull, uninteresting fight, Luthor gets the upper hand against Deathstroke and is quickly infected with the Great Darkness. This triggers a domino effect, and the world that Green Lantern and Flash are currently on, the Batman-themed world, begins to crumble. In the background of all this, Pariah watches, gleefully excited at the new multiverse that is born from this chaos, a multiverse that seems to have emerged from the dark energy pulse. So Josh Williamson has a new book coming out in October called Dark Ride number 1. That is conveniently coming out the same day that Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths number 5 is coming out, also on October 5th. And I'm imagining myself and others walking into the store, into their LCS, and seeing the two books on the shelves, and they're going, okay, Dark Ride or Dark Crisis? Which one am I going to go with? Because they both have dark in the title. But if I had to choose, which one am I going to choose? And I got to be honest, I'm probably going to go with Dark Ride, because it seems like a lot more fun and a lot more of an enjoyable ride, no pun intended, than Dark Crisis. So I don't want to start off being all terrible. I just thought that was funny that these two books are coming out, and they're both dark, except one is not dark. It seems like it's going to be one fun ride, and the other is a thing. But I don't want to start off all negative.
I mean that sounds
I
good and all, but just wait till like issue 4 comes out and it gets retitled to Dark Ride on Infinite Roads.
If I do that, I'm burning my copies. That would be such a bullshit move. No, I don't want to start all negative because it's very easy to do that. So I wrote a list of positives just to kind of get us on a good track to start. So Alan Scott and Dick Grayson have a great scene together. I don't think I've ever seen this pairing in any other book that I can think of, and they have a really great conversation that I thought to be very genuine and very sweet. Hal and Barry always have great chemistry together, and it was really nice seeing them here again as well. I thought that was done well. I can appreciate the callbacks to previous continuity, JSA and Limbo, and when Alan Scott said we'll probably be in Limbo again, that was another. I surprised that Alan Scott didn't turn and say "fuck you" to DC editorial, because that felt like some serious meta commentary of like, JSA has been in Limbo, and they probably will be again when they put us on the shelves, as they are wont to do. Luthor's possession by Perpetua, another decent callback, and the more beset issue of Swamp Thing, which is an incredible issue. I would encourage everyone to track it down if you haven't read it already. That was also a nice flashback. Seeing Alan considered as a magic hero is always cool, especially considering we just talked about that last weekend on Day of Judgment review, so that was a weird coincidence. And then Daniel Sempier. Enough said. Like, the guy's just incredible. It's just look at the book. It speaks for itself. But as for the negatives, I don't know. It's everything else. Like, I feel like a broken record at this point. Like, we're only just now getting to the Dark Crisis, and yes, I know they want to build up the dramatic effect, but it falls so incredibly flat, and it feels like it's the part of the story that you don't want to talk about. Like, it feels like I have all these scenes in mind of characters that I really like, with Alan and Dick and Hal and Barry and Black Adam and Lex and the rest of the Legion of Doom, and all these are fine scenes by themselves, but it's like it's like you're working on a project and there's that one part of the project that you just really don't want to do. Everything else you're like, yeah, I got this, no problem, I can handle it. But it's like that one last piece that wraps it all together, that ties it all into a neat little bow that you're like, I don't really want to do that shit. That seems hard and annoying. And that's exactly what this feels like, where it's like I have all these moments, these scenes in mind between characters, but I know I have to tie it together with like this Great Darkness bullshit, but I don't really feel like doing it. So I'm just gonna like come up with whatever cockamamie explanation I can have, and then it'll make sense or whatever. So it's just like it feels ancillary to the book that is called Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths, which is ridiculous because it's literally in the title. Like, you would expect a crisis, except the crisis of cosmic proportions has yet to really exact itself until now, as we see the birth of the new multiverse. But I don't know. It feels like you don't even care. Like, this is something that I have to do, not something I wanted to do, which is not what you should be doing in a cosmic story about a metaphysical entity of nihilistic proportions. So I don't know. It just feels so ridiculous in that sense. So I didn't even have anything else to say other than I wrote this in July of 2022 when I think Rob and I were covering the second issue of Dark Crisis. I'll just say it again, I suppose, which is Josh Williamson is good at writing fun, lighthearted, action-packed, and often emotional / personality-centric stories like Birthright and Deathbed. Robin is not talented or equipped at writing the big, metaphorical, cosmic, intertwined stories like A Dark Crisis. That doesn't make him a bad writer, it's just clear that his strengths lie elsewhere, which is a very long-winded way of saying just play to your strengths and you'll find yourself a lot happier, which is why come next month I'm probably going to have a much better time reading Dark Ride, a book that feels much more suited to his strengths than Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths. So that's my review, 7.5 out of 10.
Well,
I swear, if next month comes around and when we talk about Dark Crisis number 5 and you just talk about Dark Ride,
I should do that.
I don't know what to say.
I honestly will. No, you know what? Please forget this. Like, please forget everything you just said, because I'm gonna ruin it here. But you know what would have been a great prank if I had done just that. It's like if I'm covering Dark Crisis next month and I just give a review of Dark Ride, and you guys are like, "What the fuck? What? This isn't what happened? Did we read this?"
that ain't the book I read.
Like, yeah, and it's like, no. What are you talking about? This is the book that I read. This is the dark themed book from Williamson that I picked up for my LCS. I don't know what you guys are talking about. That would have been such a great prank. But I feel like you guys are going to remember it, so it's not going to work. But if you forget it,
I mean, I won't.
oh man, yeah, that would have been a great little prank.
I might just forget it. I have a lot of stuff going on between now and then.
I'm hoping, Rob, you have such a great time at your wedding that everything from this past
just
like
fuzzy.
2 weeks just disappears from your mind, so I can pull that little practical joke on you and have a good time.
I can tell you that not only will I have a good time at my wedding, but if my friends have a say in what I do, that is almost a guarantee that the last 2 weeks will be a blur.
Oh man!
With
But
how much
I'm gonna
drinking
keep this
that
in
will be
my
forced upon me.
I'm gonna keep this in my back pocket, and hopefully I don't forget it, because that'll be a hell of a prank.
Well, keep this in your back pocket too, because something I did just the other day was go back and reread all of his Robin run. I should not have gone back and reread all of his Robin run.
Oh no. Oh god.
I mean, I loved it. Except for a few issues as it was coming out, I thought it was a really good book, and Williamson surprised the hell out of me. There were a couple of issues that were stupid and pointless, like didn't need to be there, but I didn't really hate those. However, going back and rereading them all together was horrible. It was it I urge you to give it a shot. Go back and reread his Robin run, start to finish.
I did. I still think the first 12 issues are pretty good. After Shadow Wars, where it falls apart.
Oh, after Shadow War, it's bad. And I guess that's where I'm looking at it is you gave us an overall arc with a start and a finish, except again, now granted it didn't take 5 years to get there, but again, you fucked up the landing. He can't hit a landing to save his life. As long as he's at DC, it's just not going to happen. Yeah. Yet he does shit for
the DC
Image.
Stories. I still think the ending to Birthright is like, chef's kiss, and then the ending to Deathbed. Rereading that recently, I put it on my Substack, or on not my Substack. I'm so tired. I'm sorry. The Not a Robot Substack. The Deathbed, when I reread that recently, great ending. I actually think I loved it even more. Just because it was, I don't know, it's like a book you can't read without smiling. It's wonderful.
That's the thing, is he doesn't care about shit, not truly, unless it's his.
Well, I don't think it's that. It's more just like, maybe you just don't really, I don't know, maybe you just don't really understand how to do a satisfying one for the superhero stuff. I get it's hard, but I put rather glibly in the Discord that we have that it's amazing to me how you can have something that looks like so much fun and something that is so much not fun out at the same time. It like boggles the mind how you can have the best and the worst, like a tale of two cities, and I feel like this is going to be a textbook example of that.
From what I'm seeing, it's a textbook example of his trade. He doesn't give a shit about what he does at DC. I think he has fun with it, but ultimately I don't think he cares. And I can tell that because his independent shit is so good. He's not a shitty writer. Yeah. He just is shitty at DC. But as far as Dark Crisis goes, somebody that is not shitty is Sampere and Sanchez. And good God, they can draw the shit out of Swamp Thing. I mean, I love you, Perkins and Spicer, but whoa, that was phenomenal. And everything else too, but really, wow. The different colored word balloons for Swamp Thing confused me. I didn't get why that was happening. But regardless, nothing really happened here. It was basically all about what to do with Slade, with a little bit of extra spices thrown in, little extra stuff there. The heroes will be too late. The legion of more people get taken over by the greatness. Gar is dying because he thinks he's dying. The great darkness is being controlled by something. And a hand shows up with a new multiverse is born. I mean, is it oh no or oh yay, who cares? Yeah. Right now,
that was another cool callback to the as a part of like older DC mythos, and I'm struggling today. I'm struggling to remember where that comes from. I believe it is. Oh God, I believe it's JLA Avengers where Krona sees for like a brief moment the hand that I think creates the universe, and then that is what creates the multiverse because of his hubris and his desire to know what created everything. it triggered an
Like
event that created a multiverse. And
Crona
I
the Rogue
want to
Guardian.
say, yeah, well, I think
Yeah, that
later
that
it was,
that I
yeah,
think that happened a couple of times with Crona, because I
yeah,
remember
Yeah.
yeah,
that somewhere. I think in one of the Jeff Johns Green Lantern stories, I think as well,
yeah. Well,
and I
because
think that
they
also
brought it
happened
up
in Infinite
again
Crisis.
in, yeah, in um was it Wrath of the First Lantern or something like that, where they were reiterating the Krona origins and the connection to the
Yeah,
multiverse. But that was again in keeping with the positives. That was at least a cool callback. It's like, okay, I see what you're trying to do here. It's a nice reference. You get your
Yeah.
DC fanboy brownie points for
Nope.
at least trying to recapture the magic of that. You
Bruh,
see
he
that for the first
stopped
time,
getting DC fanboy
you're like,
brownie points when that's the only fucking thing you bring to the series. DC gave you the keys to the kingdom, and all you did was fanboy the shit out of the whole thing without anything ever meaning anything, or, and I guarantee you, still, without anything really being finished, the ending is gonna suck.
I mean, it takes on a different meaning for me than it does for you. Because like I see these moments and it does kind of, I'm like, yeah, I see that you clearly have an appreciation and a level of respect with a caveat with a big ass asterisk after the word respect. Um, but at least it's like, okay, I'm trying to pay homage, however you want to say it, to some of the finer moments. So like I will give you that. I'm trying to keep it positive in the ways that I can. I
As you
lost my
tend to
train of
do.
thought.
No,
I lost my
as
train of
it
thought for a second. What
you
was I
do
just
you do
saying?
try to keep things positive. Well, the way that you like all of the things that inspire what Williamson is doing, I think, is what you
It
were
was
getting at.
something else though. I don't remember.
He's just
But anyway, yeah,
blatantly
it's
ripping off. He's just blatantly
um,
ripping off Morrison and other people and riding that coattail to produce what he's going to call a successful book.
it is. I can't
That's all right.
remember.
Anyway, I gave Dark Crisis a 6 out of 10. You know what? Because of Sampier and Sanchez, I'll give it a 6.5.
okay. So, as is usual, I'm gonna ride the fence. The end, very anticlimactic. I will agree for reasons. I maybe I'm imagining it, but I'm surprised neither of you mentioned because Williamson gave this all away at SDCC. We've known this for weeks. We knew this was happening. So for this to be a big cliffhanger and say that this is a momentous issue is a giant misnomer because we knew this was happening weeks ago.
We knew everything that was happening throughout this entire fucking thing months before it happened.
It was
Yeah.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. That's what it was. God, I'm so off my game today, and that's why it's because it makes sense. It's a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's a callback to that moment where Krona first sees it in Crisis.
I appreciate that you called it a sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths and not the
Yeah.
sequel to Crisis on Infinite
No,
Earths.
it is. Yeah, no. I already made the joke. There was a sequel that came out 16 years ago called Infinite Crisis. That is the only sequel that is warranting any merit for me.
Yeah. So
Fucking A-Rag.
Definitely
again,
not Convergence. That's for fucking sure.
Jesus Christ.
Dear
I had
Lord.
a discussion with somebody on Reddit yesterday about Convergence. How after this issue came out, there was a lot of people just saying, "Okay, so how many times are they going to restart the multiverse?" And somebody brought up Convergence, and I said, like, you could. I'm sure everything you're talking about Convergence is true. I read it when it was new, and I could agree with everything you said, but I could not tell you if it's factual because I remember nothing about that story, and nobody else does either.
No, it's because
Yeah,
it's so
Reddit's really
boring.
good.
Nobody read it. Nobody really cared for it. There was one notable thing that came out of that story, and that was the creation of John Kent, which that's how much
That and
that story
Talos,
is
but I just know that because
forgotten.
I just know that because everyone made memes about Talos and how he was the greatest character ever on Reddit for a while.
Yeah,
But he's a completely
he's
pointless character.
he's totally not a Brainiac clone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, not a
But
Brainiac
that's
clone.
how little importance that convergence holds, because nobody ever mentions when they talk about John Kent. Nobody says, "Oh, you remember that big event, that sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths DC did that gave us John Kent?" No, they never say that. They just say, "Yeah, John Kent. He appeared."
Pretty cool, man.
Yeah.
And they'll be doing the same thing about all of this Infinite Frontier as a whole, up to and including Dark Crisis, will be completely forgotten in 2 years' time.
Yeah. When Secret Crisis happens.
I said that all of this shit was going to be wrapped up and done and over with within 6 months, and no one wanted to believe me. Yet we're within that 6-month mark, and the whole damn thing has been finished.
Which I think is
Yeah.
particularly prescient when we get to our final issue in the week.
In
Which-
fucking deed it is.
I just
Because
can't
the
wait to
first
see what happens at
page
this
made
point.
me laugh so hard. Too hard, in fact.
Oh, for the next book? Hang on,
Yeah.
I gotta finish off with some stuff here.
Oh, no. By all means, go ahead.
Yeah, the personal moments are great. Fantastic art is still fantastic. I just wish the overall story was more interesting, and I can't wait to do this all again in 2 years when we get the sequel to Crisis on Infinite Earths, Secret Crisis, written by Jeff Johns. So
I
gave this
am going to
7.5
smack
out
you.
of 10. I'm holding him to that. Look, we've been psychic
it's
in
not
the
gonna
past.
happen.
We've been psychic in the past. The more I say it, the more it's gonna
Well,
happen.
I will
Speak that
say
shit
this.
into
I will say
existence,
this
son.
much. I'll say this much for you, Rob.
Yeah.
Never did I or about a million other people think we were ever going to get a reprint of JLA Avengers, but through the magic of
Yeah.
Marie Javins and immense levels of collaboration with people at Marvel, they produced copies that exist and are in the world, like now. And everyone said it'll never be done. It can never be done again. I mean, mind you, a lot of it was in benefit of George Perez, but still, they didn't have to do that, but they did it. So crazier things could happen.
Exactly. Maybe that's the precursor. Maybe. Who knows? We will see in 2025. Just you wait. So, all in all, I gave this I'll say a 7.25 out of 10. My score is just fluctuating. It's like the stock market right now. Every time I think about this book, it's up and down. I don't know. So I'm just gonna pause, close the
And it's
the
yielding
market
poor
at
returns, right?
7.25. Okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I forgot. That's another thing I wanted to bring up. So, speaking of personal moments, I wasn't here when you guys talked about the end of Swamp Thing with number 16, and I wanted to ask that because if I remember right, prior to season 2, when we were still in season 1, and when he announced it, Ram V promised info on what happened to Alec Holland. Correct?
No, we're not going down this rabbit hole because I made a note of that and I said, if we do this, the show is going to get extended for another 20 minutes because I know exactly what you were referencing, and my thought process was the exact same, and I said, you know what, fuck it, I don't even have the energy for this.
I just want to know the answer. I want to ask you guys. Well,
Yeah.
It's a two-pronged question. It's very. I will try my best not to go on a tangent. I hope it does. A two-pronged question. One, did that happen in Swamp Thing, or did I miss it? And two, was that Alec Holland and Levi there, or were those entirely different Swamp Things? Because both of them really hinted at they were Alec Holland and Levi Kamei.
You're talking about in this issue?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe that would explain the different colored bubbles, but I mean, that's
It
not.
is. But again, that's a whole other topic of discussion, and I don't think we need to go there.
I'm
Tell
curious
I'm telling you.
how. We won't get into it now, but I'm very curious how
I
it's a
will. I
topic of
will.
discussion.
How
Because
about
it's just
this? How about I give
it's
you?
so simple.
How about I
Do
give
you
you?
think it's Alec
Yeah.
Holland Levi, or do you not think it's Alec Holland? Just
No,
yes or
it
no?
is Alec Holland because it's based on
Okay.
the exact same model that we had at the end of JLD. But I will give you the long story short version, which
Okay.
is the exact same explanation that we used to explain how the fuck the core were all back, which is I don't know, they just are. So that's about the best
Okay.
definition I can give you right now without
Okay.
going into an immense and frankly frustrating amount of detail on how this could even be possible.
Okay. So
It's
the other easy answer to my first question is that we just didn't get into Alec Holland in season 2 of
yeah,
Swoop.
no,
Correct.
no.
Okay. So I
Because
didn't
yeah,
miss it because I
if
thought
you
maybe I
remember
missed it
correctly
somehow.
from season one, yeah, if you remember correctly from season one, Alec had made his peace, was a part of the Green now, and had walked off into essentially the sunset, passing the mantle on to Levi. But again,
Well, except now.
let's not go there. Yeah, let's not go there because this is another one of those. How did that happen? Don't worry about it.
Josh
Don't even think
Williamson
about
just decided he was
it.
going
Don't
to do
even
it. Fan
exactly. So
service. Look what I did. Isn't that cool?
let's move on. Yeah, let's move on.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yes.
or else I'll
We will
start
move
going,
on
ah.
now. Okay. So, yeah. Fuck it. I'll close it a 7 because that just brought the score down. So, 7
Yeah,
out of 10. The art brought it up. Otherwise, I'd be closer to Josh's score. So that's me. So we're going to go from one crisis, supposed crisis, to something that's more of a crisis because this is barely a crisis, and that's Flashpoint Beyond number 5.
it's a crisis on my
Uh,
wallet. I'll tell you that much.
I can't
Heard
wait.
that.
I can't wait.
That's why
To
you
talk about
compared it to the
this.
stock market, and I have to tell I have to tell the rest of my investors that I will for the foreseeable future be withdrawing all of my stock options in Dark Crisis, and will be purchasing all of the stocks in Dark Ride instead, because I feel that they will yield more positive emotional returns for the foreseeable future.
That's hilarious. All right, Flashpoint Beyond number 5. You guys know how great of a book this is going to be, so let's just get on with it. Written by Jeff Johns, Tim Sheridan, and Jeremy Adams. That's right, 3 people are writing this together. Art from Zermanico and Mikael Yanin. Colors Romulo Fajardo Jr. and Jordi Belair. Rob Lee on letters, and a pretty cool cover from Mitch Gerads. So, this starts out 2 days after Dark Crisis. I guess that is supposed to say the end of Dark Crisis. Not really sure.
I can't. It's so it's
Mr.
just so funny
Terrific.
to me.
Oh my god, dude.
How is that? How is that not funny? Because I mean, first of all, I read the previews back to back, but
Infuriating.
it was even more funny reading Dark Crisis and then immediately reading this because you're like, oh shit, I guess things are heating up in Dark Crisis, and then you read this and like, nah, it's over. 2 days later, everything's back to normal. Fuck you. It's
Yep.
just, it's so funny.
Meanwhile,
That's so funny. Yeah.
next on Fox. Mr. Terrific
It's like yeah, it's like watching, I don't know, what's like a very dramatic show. It's like watching Lost and you're like, damn, what's gonna happen next? And then the next episode of Lost is just the end.
Yep, that's
It's just
exactly what's
over.
up. Except that's
All right.
been the case of Dark Crisis for the whole time. Anyway, Mr. Terrific and Dr. Baxter are on TV trading jabs at each other while trying to explain everything that has happened and what an omniverse, metaverse, and multiverse is, how everything's related, etc. Meanwhile, oh, you guys are gonna love this. Ra's al Ghul proposes a drink with Batman, who's sitting in his window. He says, "To your miraculous return, Bruce, and to mine," as if anyone doubted it. Are you fucking serious? I mean, you're gonna put it you're gonna
Yeah.
put it
I
right into the dialogue that we should know better.
I see that the writing team must have read The Resurrection of Ra's al Ghul from 2008. though probably you read the Cliff's Notes version of it, because if you remember correctly from that story, Raish had also had his body similarly evaporated. I didn't say that right. Um, and had to essentially reconstitute a body and was trying to possess Damien's body instead. But that was a process that took a long ass fucking time. How long did this take? Was it like 2 days? He was just like, oh nah. Yeah, my body was evaporated. And yeah, it took a long time before, but I've gotten better about it. Like now I can just like if my body is gone and I need to bring my spirit back, I can just pop back. I don't even have to worry
Well,
about it. My
all
spirit
right.
can walk into the Lazarus pits and then just emerge as a flesh and blood being.
And
I
I mean,
assume it's
honestly, who
something like
knows? Has he been there
that.
12 hours? Has he been there 12 months? Williamson doesn't know when Shadow War happened. He's got no idea when his own event took place. So who knows how long Ra's al Ghul has been dead? Well, not dead, because, spirit, Lazarus.
Oh,
Because
man.
of
Does that mean we're gonna
bullshit.
get the resurrection of Ra's al Ghul Part 2 Electric Boogaloo? I know people hate that story,
Exactly.
but I actually love
We
it.
we just got that. So he spoils that Dr. Batman was killed by Darkseid's Omega beams. Ra's, that is, spoils that Dr. Batman was killed by Darkseid's Omega beams in Dark Crisis, mind you. He gives Bruce the ashes.
No, that was in JLI.
JLA, whatever. In any case, he gives Bruce the ashes. He has an insider on the Justice Incarnate. Now's how to save his dad. The rest of it is Dr. Batman fighting Martha Joker, and she sets a machine to make sure that they both die, but Bruce lives. The enemies working together. Then back to Bruce, who is trying to save his dad by messing with the time stream, and Rip Hunter shows up. Oh, and Johns finally names a Joker. Finally. But in this universe, and it matters nothing because it doesn't mean that that's the Joker's name in our universe necessarily at all, or in any other universe. But in case you're wondering, his name is Jack Oswald White. And really, you couldn't even fucking come up with 3 names that couldn't be stolen from another fucking Batman villain? Jesus Christ. Jack Napier, Oswald Cobblepot, White Knight. Give it a rest, Jeff. Give it a rest.
No, he's just a big fan of the White Stripes. Come on, man.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah.
Is Jack White
Yeah.
is now I really want to look up if Jack White's middle name is Oswald.
No.
By the way,
I don't
just
think it is,
side
but-
note, Jack White's new album is awesome. Anyway, great art in Flashpoint Beyond number 5. Fuck the rest of this book. What tiny little bit of Dark Crisis that we don't know got lost by releasing this book out of order. Great art, dumb story, dumb execution, and all of Flashpoint Beyond is a giant waste of time. And that's with what, 1 or 2 issues left to go?
One.
Yeah, there's absolutely nothing that they could land in one more issue. This is Jeff Johns getting me excited about something, and then slowly, issue by issue, showing me how he's going to let me down. Thank you very much, Jeff Johns, Tim Sheridan, and Jeremy Adams for your collaborated effort in earning a 5.25 out of 10.
I gave this one an 8.25 out of 10. I actually had a lot of fun with it. And something that I suspected, but I don't think it really hit until this issue. This man Jeff, because we're on a personal level. This man Jeff really was like, I want to do a sequel to Flashpoint. You know what I really want to do a sequel to is Doomsday Clock, because that's really what this is. Like, make no mistake, it may deceive you, it may trick you with its flashy looks and its flashy cover, but in actuality, this book literally is just a direct sequel to Doomsday Clock, which I imagine is going to feed directly into JSA coming later this year.
Oh, I'm very
but no,
curious. Does Jeff Johns have his hands on that title?
Yeah, he's writing it.
On JSA, he's writing that title?
Yeah.
God damn it.
Yeah.
All right,
Which
go
is
ahead.
it's funny because it's the third time that he's doing it. You would have thought at this point they would have let someone else write the JSA, but I don't know. I think he made a contract, a blood contract that basically dictates that no one else can write the JSA but him for now until eternity. And I
mean,
assume,
maybe.
much like the JSA themselves, he will never die and will continue to write them for eternity. But no, honestly, I don't know. I didn't really have a ton of problems with it, aside from the fact that the Dark Crisis thing made me laugh, because it just entirely invalidates that story and removes any and all stakes. And yes, we don't know what the finer details of the story are, but it's kind of just like, if you felt any kind of tension, all that tension feels deflated by the fact that everything is seemingly back to normal after the end of Dark Crisis.
Which
but,
we said would happen here. It will be just like nothing happened at all.
Yeah, I mean, maybe there are some repercussions that we're yet to see. I hope that's the case, but for all intents and purposes, they're kind of just like the Justice League is back. Which I think the most damning thing is the picture of the Justice League that they show is the exact same one that we saw right before Justice League 75. It's not even a new one. It's not like, oh, in the events of, Dark Crisis, in the aftermath, a new version emerged, and that one was led by the younger heroes, which I think is what a lot of us were expecting. But ultimately, that seems to not be the case. But again, maybe
at least
maybe
hoping for. I was hoping for that.
Yeah. But
should have known better
than
to expect it.
Most of it I thought was pretty good. Like the stuff with Thomas and Martha, I thought was pretty solid. And I had kind of been ragging on the main continuity chapters where it's just kind of Batman talking to the kid Corky Baxter, because it's kind of like I feel like that's the least interesting stuff. But now I actually feel like there's stakes once Rip Hunter shows up at the end, and it's like, oh, okay, now there's really a sense of like, you fucked up, you did something so bad that you caught the attention of the OG Time Master himself, and God only knows how Rip plans to punish him. And I wonder, and this is total speculation, but I wonder if this is a different version of Rip Hunter, because if you look at his costume, it looks like the Silver Age Rip Hunter, the classic Time Master one, not the one that we've seen in the Booster Gold run, who's kind of has like the 5 o'clock shadow and the buzz cut and like the more modern looking version. So I wonder if this is like the pre-crisis version of Rip Hunter that somehow has remanifested himself, and is so disturbed by everything that's going on with Hyper Time right now that he's like, okay, now I have to really step in and set things straight.
If that is the case, our version of Batman?
Reveal. What?
Is that our version of Batman?
What do you mean?
The Batman that's been in the backup. How do we know that that is our Batman and not the Batman of a different world?
Well, isn't this taking place like after the events of Dark Crisis on our world?
Who knows? I can't fucking figure that out.
I mean, I would suspect that it is, just in the way that it seems to tie in with everything that's going on our main Earth right now. But I mean, I suppose anything is possible. But yeah, if they manage to pull a trick like that it's the pre-crisis Rip Hunter, that would be a hell of a twist. And given that all the Time Master stuff is factoring in to the upcoming JSA run, would definitely have my interest a little bit more piqued in how they would try and wrap all that together. Because if you had a pre-crisis Rip Hunter, that would also mean that he would have memories in all likelihood of the pre-crisis JSA and JLA and everyone else. So if he's interacting with this kind of updated version of the JSA, God only knows what kind of information he could divulge to them. There's a whole multitude of different stories and stuff like that. So I think if that's the thing that they're going with, that would be incredibly fascinating.
Now, Psycho Pirate's dead, right?
You maybe, I don't even know. I think so.
I'm pretty sure Psycho Pirate's dead. The last thing we knew, Nakano had his mask. But if Rip Hunter has memories pre-Crisis, would that put him on the same level of like remembering as Psycho Pirate was, where Psycho Pirate knew everything? He was the only one that always did?
No, just because he would only have the memories of the pre-crisis, not the memories of, you know, the continuity in between, say, Crisis on Infinite Earths and Zero Hour, or Zero Hour and Infinite Crisis, or Infinite Crisis to ultimately Flashpoint. He would just have the memories of a very specific moment in DC's history, but that's still, you know, a hell of a thing, given that no other character seems to remember that aside from Psycho Pirate. So I don't know. It's total speculation, and I think it could be a really cool idea if they went with that. If, you know, this idea that like it's the original Rip Hunter, plus you could do a little bit of like a strange meetup where the new version of Rip Hunter meets with the pre-Crisis version of Rip Hunter. And again, I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but there's a ton of story potential there. So the last like couple pages actually had me really excited for what they could do with the Time Masters. So I don't know. Like I said, I thought it was decent enough.
Dan Jurgens tried that with Booster Gold, and then it was forgotten instantly.
Really? Well, that's unfortunate.
I was so hyped for that, and then it just never went anywhere.
Well, maybe they can try it again. You know, they'll get lucky the second time. But,
I mean, that's what Williamson does.
I think if there's you know, if there's something to be said of the story, at the very least, it's that it's hopefully got some interesting stuff to explore in further detail. So I want to see how that all plays out.
In Flashpoint?
No, in JSA.
Oh, in JSA. Okay, beyond Flashpoint. Okay, so I'm thinking Doomsday Clock. I'm thinking Three Jokers. I'm thinking the previous last Shazam run. Help me out here. What other stuff has Jeff Johns done within the last few years of note at DC? Does anything else pop to your guys' mind? Three Jokers, Doomsday Clock.
Geiger's not at DC, but that was a really good book, I thought.
I mean, when it came to DC for a while, he was mostly helping out with the movie stuff, so he didn't really have much time for comics.
So Doomsday Clock, The Button, the Shazam run, and Three Jokers. That's pretty much what he's done.
Did he even do The Button?
No, that was Josh Williamson and Tom King. We're working from, I think, a very, very bare bones outline that Jeff might have provided, but we didn't do any actual scripting or writing.
All right. Well, so still, everything in the past few years that he has touched has turned to poop at DC. And while I will always have mad respect for the man, sometimes it's time to recognize, you know, maybe your talents have moved on to different areas, because he just has not been landing anything at all for me lately. And I mean, even if you back it out and take it out of things that are heavy and weighted, like Doomsday Clock, and throw him into a very, very simple Shazam run, he couldn't even put the Shazam book out on time, and it wasn't good. So I think maybe Jeff Johns, maybe Geiger, it was just taking up all of his time. Who knows? But he just has not impressed me, and it kind of bums me out to know that he's taking the reins on the JSA book. I much rather would have seen Jeremy Adams do it, not Tim Sheridan after that Crisis on Earth 3 shit. But Jeremy Adams, I would have been okay with. Anyway, I'm done shitting on people. Does anybody want to go over the nice side of the show?
Well, I haven't even talked about Flashpoint yet.
Oh shit, that's right. Yeah. Okay. Well, we're not getting nice yet, or well, maybe we are.
No, no.
Not nice.
No, we're
Not
not.
nice.
I've cut out twice while you guys are talking about Flashpoint Beyond, so I don't know everything you talked about, but I do have a couple of quick notes. So this issue was up and down for me. I agree with Brandon. It's hilarious that they revealed the end of Dark Crisis on Infinite Earths right at the beginning of the issue, 4 months ahead of the schedule of the actual end. As I mentioned in our chat, you could have just delayed it to November or December because it's written by Jeff Johns. No one would have questioned it, and you could have just let it ride.
Exactly.
Perfect. Yeah, but
I mean, not to sound like an ass, but we expect that of you.
Yeah, at this point. Yeah. So scheduling? Who needs scheduling? Just put out what you want when you want. Fuck it. It's a grab bag. So you bring up Mandela effects. You bring up Mandela effects, man. You got me hooked. Okay, you brought me back in. That's a thing I follow. I think they're fascinating. I'm not claiming to be conspiracy theorist nut job or whatever, but they're a fascinating thing as a phenomenon. They're a lot of fun to research. So you brought me in, and then you gave the Joker a name. So you lost me again, because then you essentially connected this to three Jokers and made this like an epilogue to that in one bloody sentence. And I know what you said earlier, Josh, and I actually had a discussion with somebody else on Reddit, said the exact same thing. They didn't specify what universe. It could have been any Joker anywhere, but I think they did. And what Martha was saying right before she mentioned his name was that she found a universe while talking to Psycho Pirate where Bruce became Batman instead of him, essentially referencing the Bruce that Thomas has interacted with, which is the Earth we know, with the Joker that took place in Three Jokers, while Jeff Johns always stated it's not continuity until somebody wants to bring it in. He decides to bring it in fucking continuity, so here we go.
Right.
So it's his story, it's his continuity, it's his fucking run. So I know somebody mentioned that Jeff Johns isn't particularly writing that part, but I imagine he like those parts of the story. That could be Tim Sheridan and Jeremy Adams, but I imagine Jeff Johns has some connection to that. So he's bringing it back to Three Jokers and giving us that conclusion, and I just don't fucking care, because in my opinion, just Joker should never be named. Jack Napier is one thing with the White Knight universe and the 1989 Batman movie. That's fine, whatever. He gave him an origin to that. Okay, because White Knight, it worked really well. It was really interesting. 1989, that's they did their own thing. That's their thing. That's it. Joker is a much better character with the mystery of no origin. You don't know where he comes from. He's just laughing and killing people for no goddamn reason. And it's
Agreed.
Scott Snyder actually that made me realize that is a much better character like that when he's creepy and possibly mystical in nature. Who knows? But then you bring up time travel.
not a primordial entity that may have been like 500 years old. That was kind of cool.
No, that's too
My
far.
opinion.
But something dark and mysterious that may or may not be a monster that sleeps under your bed at night and you just don't know it's there, but you'll never find it. That kind of like Cthulhu, but not everlasting and ancient. You know, just
Yeah.
like one of those dark creatures from myth that is just always there, but not there at the same. You know what I mean? It's like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, so then you bring up time travel, and I love time traveling stories, and that's eventually somehow that's what this became. It's a time traveling story. So he brought me back there, and at the end of writing down the notes, I figure it's crazy how much was fit into this issue, but it didn't feel bogged down with information. There was so much going on here. There was so many like callbacks and hints and tidbits and references and story plot, and it was heavy, but it didn't feel heavy. It was really, really interesting how that worked out, because at the end of the day, I didn't hate the issue. I gave it an 8.5 out of 10. I'm really just just mad about the Joker name. That's all I'm really upset about.
Yeah.
But that's
Did you
that's
did you hear
inconsequential.
did you hear the last part where we were kind of talking about the Rip Hunter at the end, or I don't know if you were
Yeah,
cut out at
about
that point.
the costume.
Yeah,
Yes, I think I mentioned Booster Gold, and then I cut
yeah,
out.
okay.
Yeah, so that would be interesting, but I'll hold off till we get to the last issue and see just what's going on there, because that is an interesting
Yeah.
theory. You make a point about that. That does look like his classic costume, so that's
Mm.
going to be interesting. I don't know. I hope for more from this book. I hope this ends well, because if we're going to get some kind of crisis book ending well this year, I hope it's this, because there's no hope for any other.
Yes, that would be better. Would be
Yeah.
ideal.
That's it. Let's
Yeah.
put all of our eggs in Jeff Johns' basket.
I mean, if you had to pick between Jeff Johns and Joshua Williamson,
That feels like a pretty easy choice.
yeah,
I mean,
And I'm actually pretty nice to him most of the time, because again, there are other books of his that I greatly enjoy. But,
see,
yeah.
that could apply to either one of the people we are talking about.
if we're talking track record, then I think the answer is definitely more obvious. I'm not talking
Yeah,
recent
track record
couple of
overall. Yeah, Jeff Johns. Like I said, I'll never stop. You got to give the man the respect he deserves.
Yeah.
The only one of those two writers gave me a run of a character I enjoy that is everlasting and solid.
Yeah.
And let's face it, Flash was horrible. So,
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, it wasn't horrible, but it sucked. So,
It
okay.
was not
It was
not
ideal.
exceptional.
Yes, it was not exceptional. It had no endings. Okay, enough of that. Enough about that. I will go off.
Or transitions.
So, more transitions. More horrible transitions. So, 8.5 out of 10. Flash won't be on number 5. Speaking of numbers, let's get into our top 3. Shall we?
Hey, I like it.
Yeah. So,
I
thought we were gonna do some
Brandon.
mathematics when we talk about numbers.
I mean, I'm all for mathematics.
Wish you weren't so fucking awkward, bud.
Yeah. What? Yeah, I'm not even gonna bother. Okay, Brandon, what was your top
Okay.
3? And
Oh
stand up
God!
moment if you
Yeah,
had one.
no. Let's not talk about mathematics. Yeah, top 3 is something that I probably should have written down in advance, but did not. So I'm just trying to kind of go off memory here. But at number 3, I would probably have, I guess, Sword of Azrael. Number 2, again, another really solid, really well done issue that I enjoyed. Number 2, I think just because of a lot of stuff at the end, and how it's all kind of shaping up. I'd put Flashpoint Beyond, number 5. And at number 1, it's no surprise to anyone, is obviously Dark Ride, number 1, on sale October 5th. Pick up your copy. Is Batman 127, just another spectacular read. And I'm still really enjoying this story. Favorite moment was hard because, I mean, even if the quality of the books was on a spectrum of good to bad, the artistic quality of the books was not in question at all, and there were so many great art moments in this week's books. It was really hard to choose.
right.
I literally
does flipping through Dear Detective count?
Maybe, I don't know. I would have to read it first, and a lot of those covers I've already seen. But going through like Sword of Azrael and Flashpoint and Dark Crisis, and Batman, pretty much everything. It was hard because all of them just had this gorgeous, stellar art. But I don't know. I was really hard pressed, so I decided to go with the not obvious choice, and I went with Sword of Azrael number 2, because, I mean, I don't know if I would say it was my favorite, but it was just so gorgeously and hauntingly illustrated that it just really stuck with me. And that's the splash page we get of Brielle standing over the dead monks, and you just see their bloodied corpses as she is almost completely immersed in shadow, and it's horrifying, but it is just exceptionally well drawn.
Excellent.
Right on. All right, Josh.
All right. Well, my top 3 are going to be, I gave it to Sword of Azrael for number 3. Number 2, I gave to Batman. What an amazing book. But number 1, and it's just the story that took it there, Poison Ivy. And it just barely beat out Batman, but it did. And I guess if we're not able to pick a whole book, like my favorite moment was looking through Bermejo's Batman and then taking like the 4 seconds it took to scramble who the letter was from, what Batman's greatest enemy truly is. But I'm gonna go with Superman showing up in Batman, standing there in the shadows. You just kind of see that one eye, and he says, "I'm going to need you to back away from my friend." And that was the way that they framed it up, with that Midwestern drawl just booms when he wants it to. It's so good. Such a
great line.
Such a great line. Set up so well. Such a great panel. I dug it, man.
There were a lot of great lines.
Shit.
There was one I didn't even talk about in here. That's the callback to, I think it's Year One, which is "This would be a good death." Which is just, I was like, oh man, and he made it work so well too.
Really well.
I didn't want to talk for too much.
That's what we're
from
here to
Year
do,
One.
man.
I'm off my game, I think. I'm pretty sure it's.
I think
from
it is Year One.
If I'm not, feel free to call me.
It's not Year Zero.
A stupid head, an asshole on the
You
internet.
stupid
I
head,
won't
you
see
stupid
it.
face, you dumb face. Rob, what did you put for yours?
So real quick, sorry, what was your number 3?
Mine?
Yeah.
Sword of Azrael.
Sort of that. All right. Yeah, my top 3 is kind of different. So number 3, I had New Champion of Shazam, really digging it. Number 2, I had Poison Ivy, and number 1, I had Batman. I think it was just a solid issue. For favorite moments, I went with New Champion of Shazam. Darla meeting Hobby was just incredible.
It really was.
That was brilliant. Yeah. Well, that was our favorite moment. Now, as we used to say, it's time for your favorite moments. It's time for
The biggest thinker.
Oh, that's nasty.
That's right, Cleveland. It will be nasty.
Nasty
guys,
indeed.
What made your stink list today?
Today, this week, I was disappointed. I was disappointed by Nubia. It could have, should have been more, and that would have made it for the stink list if it wasn't for Dark Crisis number 4, which just kind of pisses me off with a bunch of nothing happening. Other than me throwing my money into a pit, and that would be on the stink list if it wasn't for Flashpoint Beyond number 5, which not only sucks in and of itself, but ruined the previously mentioned Dark Crisis arc. So Flashpoint Beyond number 5 is on my stink list today.
Okay, Brandon.
I'm probably gonna have to take some Pepto-Bismol this week. I don't know. I didn't have any stinkers, honestly. I didn't get a chance to read Nubia, so I don't know whether or not that was disappointing. I mean, everything else was. I mean, technically, New Champion of Shazam was the lowest scored book I had, but I don't really feel justified putting that on the stinker. So I'm gonna take some stomach medicine and try and make the best of it tonight.
No, fair enough. Well, that being said, I did put Nubia, Queen of the Amazons, as my biggest stinker. That did get, I think, technically the lowest scoring title. Because I had that tied with Dark Crisis, but the character moments in Dark Crisis and the art just put it a little bit over for me compared to Nubia.
Mhm.
So.
Fair enough, and it makes sense too.
That's that. And with that, that's our show. So remember, you can help support us by going to buymeacoffee.com/NAR podcast for just $1 a month. Get your name shout out on the podcast of your choice, access to all of our material, and more. And as always, there's only one way we say goodbye around here. Until next time.
Be good to each other.
And don't be a robot.